And then we are back with more information regarding the Romans. And Shaul spends a lot of time also instructing and teaching the people regarding also the weak side of the flesh in relation to the Torah. There is also a topic where Shaul he explains to the people in terms of what to eat and what not. So then he himself explains very clearly in Romans that he states of the meats sold in the market. As we understand, when he is a specific sense speaking of the unclean means the meat that they used to have those in the market for sale. This is what he's talking about. He's not implying that a person should eat pork or then those dirty meats stated in the Torah. It is very obvious. So then he is speaking of a brother that makes sure then when a person is in a market buying meat, and then if the believer is not sure if the meat was given to certain deities, then make sure if a person is watching his brother purchasing, don't make that brother be self-conscious thinking that the meat is unclean. So there are steps of formation. So this is what Shaul is refers, and he refers to this specific area. So then, reading a portion of it, it states in the 11th verse, as it was, as myself lives, says Yahweh, to me every person wilt bow, and to me every tongue wilt give praise. So then every one of us must give obedience. It's not any kind of going to give some explanation later in heaven. This is not what states. It's simply stating that a person should be obedient. And this is what Shaul is speaking of. So then every person then must give obedience to him, or obedience from himself to Elohim. It's very obvious because what he has a reference as the previous statement, that as myself lives, then says Yahweh, to me every person would bow, and to me every tongue wilt say and give praise. So then based upon this area you can understand that later on, so then every one of us must be obedient. Because of this statement, it doesn't state that you're going to write your record in heaven and then afterwards going to heaven and then up there we are going to talk about it. It is very clear we should be obedient to him based upon what he said. And then from now forward, do not judge then one another, but rather you judge these, that you do not erect a stumbling block for your brother. And this is what he's saying. When a brother is buying meat, don't go there stating, oh, this is an unclean meat. No, let the brother purchase, because you don't know if the meat was given to demons or not. Let that brother eat. However, if you know that the meat was, then absolutely, then of course you'd warn your brother. But don't make judgments regarding those meats, because those are in fact per Torah. Those meats that are clean, they are clean. So then clears away this understanding of a lot of Bibles out there. Oh, because the Torah was done away with, you can eat pork, you can eat any kind of a fish, you can eat shrimp, you can eat other creatures. There were not. Some of them are clean, some of them are not. Some of them people can eat, some of them people can't eat. And what Shaul is stating, in a sense, are those meats that are clean but sold in the market. This is the reference point. So then he is stating also, from now forward do not judge then one another, but rather you judge these, that you do not erect a stumbling block for your brother. And then myself certainly am persuading that Yahweh then in Yeshua, or Yahweh Yeshua, that there is no other meat unclean in itself, but to him who thinks any meat to be unclean, to him it is defiled. Then simply don't eat. But it does not mean a person can eat any kind of a meat. It has to be in line with the Torah. Because Shaul is the living Torah, teaching the Torah to the other people. So then clears away this junky understanding from the Satanic Bible of the right. The Satanic Bible of the right, oh, Torah was abolished. Sure, where did you get this information from? Twisted Constantine. Did he not also change from the first day observance and then became the beast by doing this? Puts your head to work. And then obviously Shaul is speaking of the clean meats of the Torah. But back then they used to have those clean meats per instructions. They were on the market and they were for sale. And some of them they were given to demons in the temples and then sold on the market. Where Shaul is stating, making sure you don't make a stumbling block to your brother. If you know for sure that the meat is defiled, go there and warn your brother, but don't make a rule out of it. Because whatsoever those clean meats that are set in Torah, those are clean and should be eaten and be glad, because those were given by Elohim. This is what Shaul is stating. So takes away the Satanic Bible of the right. Oh, the Torah was abolished, eat everything you want, or any meat is clean. No. There are meats that are clean, there are meats not clean. And then he goes on. And then he states, but if you grieve your brother because of what you eat, then you are not being encouraging. You should encourage your brother to remain on the path of the Torah. However, don't be a stumbling block to your brother because you are so lecture on the Torah and any kind of a meat in the market you tend to be a person to point out being unclean. No. If you are not 100% sure that the meat is defiled by devilish prayers, then not being sure of it, let your brother buy it and eat, because those are then clean, they are considered clean. It's got nothing to do praying over the meat. You pray over the meat, then the meat is clean. No, this is not what Shaul is saying. Simply pointing out the fact there are meats that are clean and meats that are not clean. You don't have to pray over it, because they are clean by the Torah instructions. Those meats that are clean are clean. Simply eat. And then of course on this situation of eating and then do not destroy him of whom Messiah has died for. And do not let your situation become a reproach. For the kingdom of Elohim is not of what eat or what drink, but justice and peace and joy in Ruach HaKodesh. So this is the whole topic. He is explaining simply what the Torah is. He's clearing away junky Goy's understanding of the Torah. As Yahshua came, he was cleaning up the junk from around him before he went to the first set of the first topics regarding the original plan. There is a similitude. So then he continues, and then changing the subject a bit, there is a portion in the previous chapter stating of the nearing line, as we were speaking before in the previous videos regarding the nearing line set in Shavuot. And then listen to this: on the 11th verse, and these also you know, that it is the time and the hour that we should therefore awaken from our rest. He's talking about that we were blind regarding the faith, and from now our life has come nearer, nearing line. It's the nearing line that's closer to the Father as ever because of what the Messiah did, and then nearer to us than when we believed. He's talking about the previous and then after. And then the 11th verse, and these also know you, that is the time and the hour that we should therefore awaken from our part of us that was blind of the law, of the demands. For now our life has come nearer to us, and those who believe in Him must believe that He is a rewarder, those that come near Him. Does that make any sense? And then it does make sense. From now our lives then has come nearer to us. Come nearer to us. It was a gift that was given to us so we can come near Him. And those who come near Him must believe that He is, and He is the rewarder of those who diligently search for Him. The nearing line set in Shavuot at the very moment is very contaminated. Because the night has gone away. He compares then the blind part of the demands of the law of the previous as being a night, and then compares with the day of the light. The Messiah, He was the light. He is the light of the world. But then back previously, on the prior of the renewed covenant, what was the priest? The priest was a representative of sin. The priest did not have sin, but came in representing sin. And he was coming nearing and nearing and nearing. He was nearing the Ark of the Covenant, then the glory was there. He went until a certain point, the nearing line. And then he sprinkled the dam 7 times. And then it was atoned for the entire nation. And this is what he's speaking of. But then it was given. It was given to us a nearing line, set in Shavuot. And at the moment in the nearing line that we have, the understanding in the Spirit is contaminated. It must be cleansed by the priests when they return to their duties. So then let us therefore cast away from us the work of the dark places, of what used to be demands of the law, and let us put upon us the armor of light. Yahshua the Messiah is the light. So then we teach based upon His light, because He is the living Torah. And let us walk as such, as in a daylight. And then he goes on, not being drunk or being in purity of the bed. He's speaking of being sexual animals, not in envy or strife, but let's clothe ourselves, in quote, with our Messiah. And of course, do not obey the flesh and the indulgences thereof. So this is what Shaul is speaking with the people. He's clearing away junk. If a person has a mere understanding of what is the camp, the set-apart people versus the goys, and understand the Torah and the qualifications of the Torah, and understanding of the functions of Ruach HaKodesh, a person can easily observe that these are clearing away. Then to him who is weak in the faith, speaking of the goys, those that don't understand the Torah, then reach forth the hand. If a person is weak in a Torah, then simply say, then a person can be encouraged. In other words, what is the problem? Get your Bible then and share what you don't understand. Or are you able to read what you have? Or are you a person that only laughs when it comes in the Torah or your own Bible? What was the most important topic you read a couple days ago or the very day? What was the topic that enlightened you? Is that a dirty smile as a excuse? And he who then eats should not despise him who does not eat, and he who does eat should not judge him that eats, for Elohim has received him. Merely speaking of the weak side of the person that goes in the market, buys the meat. He doesn't understand that the meat, though, if the believer is not sure that it was not given to demons, and because it's clean from the Torah, then eat. Much more coming up.